Howdy, I'm Austin Larson, and this is the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast. Thanks for joining me again for another episode of the program. Hopefully you're joining me from the most recent interview with Lucy Keough. Maybe you've been a follower since the first episode. Either way, glad you're here. Life's been good. Lorraine and I were in Seattle last week, had a lot of fun, saw some old friends, had a really good time. She got a really fucking cool Reaper tattoo from Cam when we got back into Spokane, so that was pretty dope. I decided to have a little bit of fun with the intro, seeing how this is the Friday the 13th episode. For this episode of the program, we're going to be talking a little bit about the history of American tattoos and Friday the 13th. I'm going to discuss my own experiences, and I have a couple of interviews lined up. I reached out to a couple historians for some information on the origins of Friday the 13th tattoos in the US, but I ran into some bad luck and I wasn't actually able to get an interview scheduled in time for the episode. I did some research online, and I put together a monologue to the best of my abilities. Go ahead and check this out. Bad luck.
You're listening to the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast.
The origin of Friday the 13th tattoos is often attributed to Oliver Peck at the now-defunct Paradise Tattoo Shop in Dallas, Texas in the year 1995. By his own admission, Peck wasn't the first tattoo artist to do the number 13 on Friday the 13th, but the tradition is usually traced back to him. Peck's inaugural Friday the 13th party lasted 24 hours, and that was inspired by a similar event hosted by tattoo artist Dave Lum on Halloween. This event proved popular, to the point that in the years since, the tradition has been copied in tattoo shops across the country. The number 13 has often had a superstitious association with bad luck, and this tradition is carried over into tattooing. Oliver Peck explained once that bad luck would come your way, it would see the number 13, see that bad luck is already there, and it would pass by. Many shops will hold an event on Friday the 13th, offering small flash pieces at discounted rates. Often, this is $13 for the tattoo itself with a mandatory $7 tip for a total of $20. However, some artists and shops will modify this, instead offering larger or more detailed pieces with similar motifs and themes for a discounted price, still quite lower than the average shop minimum. While many shops offering these deals will see a huge influx of customers that day, most shops will actually lose money on Friday the 13th, due to the intensive labor required to keep up with client demand and the amount of supplies needed for each individual tattoo done that day, on top of the sharply discounted rate of approximately $20 for a coin-sized tattoo. Despite the day being a loss, many tattoo artists look forward to Friday the 13th, seeing it as a day that they give back to their clients, to show their appreciation with a sale. However, sometimes these events occasionally attract people who really wouldn't be caught dead going into a shop and paying full price for a quality tattoo, but will gladly go in on cheap day for some small flash work. Due to all of these factors and more, Friday the 13th sales are not a guarantee with every shop or every artist. I personally feel it's something fun everyone should do at least once. I have exactly one Friday the 13th tattoo. It's a lot of fun to go with your friends, it's fun to take someone on a date, it's a cool tradition. I'm really not into huge crowds, and little flash pieces, they're just really not my thing, so Friday the 13th tattoos aren't all of that big a deal to me. I've seen some ones that I really like, I've seen some ones that are cool. I'm completely open to getting more, should it be under the right circumstances, but I really just don't make plans to wait in line that day. Overall though, Friday the 13th is a holiday where more and more people wake up and make the choice to get a dumb, fun little flash tattoo completely devoid of all deep personal meaning. And really, I think that's a great fucking thing to celebrate, goddammit. Good old Friday the 13th. Lots of history, lots of strong feelings, lots of cool little flash pieces. Before this episode, I really didn't know all that much about the history of the Friday the 13th tradition, but I assumed it was a lot older. Speaking of which, in the year 1995, Friday the 13th occurred in January and October. None of the sources I found specifically stated which occasion in 95 that it happened on, but it had to be the Halloween one, right? I really want to know more about Dave Lum's 24-hour Halloween tattoo parties. Is that something like $31 flash with a $19 mandatory tip? I mean, that's still a fucking great deal. I'd be down for that. Oliver Peck might ring a bell. He was a judge on Ink Master, along with Dave Navarro and Chris Nunez. He was married to Kat Von D, and a few months ago, he actually had to leave Ink Master because some photos of him in blackface from years ago were published online. I've seen the photos. They're pretty gross, but the weirdest thing is there's a photo of him applying the makeup and steps like he was shooting a goddamn YouTube tutorial or something. So my next guest is quite well versed in the tradition of Friday the 13th tattoos, and he was kind enough to share some of his time with us today. Here's Shay. This is the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast. I'm Austin Larson. I'm here today with my guest, Shay.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hey, Shay, thank you so much for being on the program. Really appreciate that today.
No problem. Anytime.
So, real quick, would you say that you were raised around the tattoo industry / tattoo culture?
Definitely not. I'm the oddball out. My family was actually really religious, so the tattoos are not a thing that they approve of.
I feel that, and my parents weren't really all that big into tattoos when I was growing up, so no, something we kind of got to find as adults, you know?
Yep.
So since this is the Friday the 13th tattoos episode, do you have a favorite film in that series, Friday the 13th?
My favorite film would be the original. Me and my son, actually, we watch it like every Friday the 13th. He's real big into it too. I'm more of just the original type. Probably my favorite is the first one, the very original one.
I totally feel that. I really like, especially the twist, you know, I'm sure everyone's seen it. I'm not going to say it, but you know, that one, I mean, all the sequels, you kind of see it coming, you know, but that one, it's a whoa.
Yep.
All right. And so with the tattoo we're talking about today, was that something were you planning on going out and getting a tattoo on Friday the 13th, or was it something kind of more impulsive, just like, oh, it's Friday the 13th, might as well go out?
Every Friday the 13th, it's a thing that I do. I get a tattoo, one or two. It depends on the flash. So, I started around 2013. I got my first, Friday the 13th tattoo. It's Freddy's hat. Other than that, I get one every Friday the 13th, except for probably this Friday. I have to work, so it'd be a downfall, but it's okay.
Oh, man, work always getting in the way of tradition like that.
Always.
You said your first one was Freddy's hat, like Freddy's fedora from Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's supposed to be Freddy's hat, but the shop that I went to, they rounded it out too much. So it looks like a cowboy hat instead.
Oh, man. But still,
Yeah.
I mean, the first Friday the 13th tattoo, just fuck it, I'm getting a Nightmare on Elm Street one. I dig
Exactly.
that. All right. And, that segues perfectly into the one we're actually going to discuss today. So just tell us a little bit about that tattoo that we're going to be talking about today.
I went to a local shop in Pensacola. They had just opened. They were having their grand opening on Friday the 13th. And so I walked in. They had like the original Flash, like an upside down 13, upside down heart and stuff like that. And I put more of a twist in it. I walked in there, I talked to the owner. I asked him, hey, I have my own Flash. If I can get an artist to prove, can I actually get Jason's mask on me? And they were like, yeah, as long as I can put my own twist to it. I was like, cool, fine, as long as I approve of it and everything like that. The guy that actually did it, he had this whole sleeve of Friday the 13th, Freddy vs. Jason. He had like a scene of Freddy vs. Jason on his, I think it was his forearm, and it was magnificent, dude. It was like I was speechless when I saw it. I didn't think that anyone could be as big into it as I was. And he said he actually talked his tattoo artist into doing a Friday the 13th tattoo, and that's what started it. Was the sleeve. So I showed him the mask. He wanted to be funny about it and everything like that. And it was closer to Christmas. So he threw a Christmas hat on it. And I was like, that's perfectly fine. We actually sat there and we talked. And his dad actually worked on the first Friday the 13th film. So he was sitting there and he was an extra at the camp. So it was pretty cool. We sat and talked for 3 hours about the movies and why I was into it. I told him I was into it because I like Halloween, so anything that has to do with any kind of horror or anything like that, that's me.
Oh, hell yeah.
I was born in October, so October, Halloween, I feel like it was appropriate. Exactly.
So with this one that we were talking about, you said it was a grand opening. Do you remember, since it was the 13th, do you remember the month or the year?
The month was, I want to say June. No, not June. Yes. June 13th, 2000, no, that's wrong. It was 2019, and it was like November. It was November 13th, 2019 is when I got it. It was closer to Christmas time, so they were putting up. I think that's correct, but I know it was last year.
Okay, and so did you have to wait in line long?
We were actually the first ones at the shop, but because they were so unorganized because of the grand opening, we waited about 3 hours before we actually got a tattoo.
Oh,
It was
man.
it was me and 3 other people. I understood the grand opening type thing, but it was a little unorganized. But it was cool. They fed us Taco Bell, though, because we were the first ones there.
Oh, hey, there you go. Free meal.
Yeah.
And then you were kind of talking about how, on Friday the 13th, traditionally you will get the tattoos the size of like, a quarter, dime, something very small.
Yeah.
Were they all black and gray, or did some have like a little bit of color?
Well,
from what you saw?
The flash leads that I saw, normally what it is it's a black and gray tattoo for $13 plus a mandatory $7 tip. But if you want color, they add another $7 to the price. Normally, when you walk into a shop on Friday the 13th, they're gonna say, "Hey, black and gray, $13 mandatory, $7 tip." So you're walking out with a $20 tattoo. But if you want color or anything like that, they're probably gonna add to the price.
So that day, I guess, with your Jason tattoo, how much did you end up paying in total?
In total, for my Jason tattoo, because of the size and the color, I probably paid about $56 for it.
Oh, I totally feel that with, tip and everything. I totally hear you.
Yeah, tip and everything. He was great.
So then, of course, we mentioned, all the classic horror ones, Halloween, some pretty other common themes, the Lucky 7, Upside Down 13, that type of thing. Did you see any other pop culture related flash on Friday the 13th that kind of stuck out in your mind?
I mean, not really. Some of them, they'll add like Rick and Morty to it, or like I have red rum on my hand or on my wrist.
Oh, seriously?
Yes, I do.
Oh, that's fucking dope.
Yeah. But other than that, you'll have to actually like look at the flash, because you'll maybe see some, but then you won't. I have red rum on my wrist. It was a Friday the 13th tattoo. And then I have, the happy and sad face, like the drama faces.
Yeah.
I have pumpkins on my arm like that. The flash is real simple, so they don't try to put in a lot of effort because of the pricing and everything like that. They're just trying to get you out the door, pretty much.
Totally. Oh man, I've always wanted the tragedy and comedy masks, but you said like the jack-o'-lanterns?
Yeah, they're jack-o'-lanterns.
That's fucking sick, dude. That's dope. Yeah. Okay, so what's one piece of advice you would give to someone going in for a Friday the 13th tattoo?
Be patient and don't rush your artist. Because if you rush your artist, and they're not going to do a very well job on your arm at all. And make sure you're going into a shop that's well credible. Because, like I said, my first one was tragic. I had an apprentice do it, and the needle from the gun actually stuck in my arm. So, yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh, that sounds downright, pun intended, that sounds unlucky.
Oh, yeah, it definitely was.
But, at least you got a cool story now, right?
Hey, I do.
Awesome. All right. Well, real quickly before we go here, Shay, thank you so much for being on the show. Is there anyone who might be listening to the program you might want to shout out?
No, I don't believe so. But I have been talking to my friends, and they have been trying to check you out. So they definitely have you on their mind.
Well, hey, thank you so much, dude. Really appreciate you helping me spread the word. And thanks again for all the wisdom you've shared with us today.
Hey, no problem. Anytime.
Thank you so much, Shay. Great meeting you, great interview. Had a lot of fun, always glad to bullshit about tattoos and horror. Oh, now I love the original Friday the 13th, but if you're looking for a fucking phenomenal 80s summer camp slasher, you gotta check out Sleepaway Camp. I love that film. God, I have no idea how many fucking times I've seen it. If I ever get another Friday the 13th tattoo, I'd want to get a totally random one. I don't know, I think it'd be kind of cool if a shop, put a flash sheet on a wall and just gave out darts to clients, or, pellet gun. I think pellet gun would be way more fun than darts. So, I only have one actual Friday the 13th tattoo. I got it when I was 22. It really wasn't a great big undertaking or a huge ordeal, anything like that. My experience was different than a lot of people's Friday the 13th tattoo experiences, but getting to just pick something cool off a sheet was a pretty fun feeling. Here, check this out. It was Friday, October 13th, 2017. There were a few shops doing Friday the 13th stuff, but I knew Cam had a flash sheet and wasn't anticipating a huge turnout for Friday the 13th, so I went to the shop right after work. I got there around 5-ish, and there really wasn't anyone there. At the time, Living Skin only had 3 artists working there, and 2 of those 3 had appointments that evening. Cam was totally free though. He had only done a handful of tattoos that day for the event. The tattoos on his flash sheet were a little bit bigger and in full color, so they were priced between about $40 and $150. I personally found this to be the perfect balance of discounted tattoos that were still of a higher quality, so that was perfect for me. I knew that 13 had a special meaning in the world of tattoos, so I needed my 13. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, pretty sure that The Offspring said something about a 13 tattoo and pretty fly for a white guy. There was only one flash sheet to pick from, so I went ahead and went with a nice red 13 with some crossbones. There was a lot of really cool stuff on that sheet. It was a few years ago, but I still remember there was a burning church and a hellhound, but my personal favorite was this cracked, moss-covered headstone bearing the inscription of Randy Poffo's preferred ring nickname. You know, really, I should have just gone with that one, but I came for 13, and goddammit, I wasn't gonna leave without my fucking 13. My right arm is a full traditional sleeve, but at that time, I only had 3 tattoos on that arm, so 13 made 4. Placement was good, just on the tricep right there in the back. It didn't take that awful long, so it was pretty much just an in-and-out tattoo. I paid $40 for the tattoo, and of course, I had to tip him 13. That Friday the 13th was a lot of fun. I'm glad I got that tattoo. So I had to listen after that monologue, and The Offspring totally did reference the 13 tattoo back in '98, except he got a 31. I'm really glad that I didn't have to wait in line, I'm glad I didn't feel rushed, and I'm really glad that I didn't get something that looked like a $20 tattoo. So it's been a few years, but I'm not quite sure why Macho Man was on the headstone for Friday the 13th. He didn't die on a Friday the 13th, his character never really had anything to do with Friday the 13th. I'm not sure what/if there's a connection there. Maybe there's no connection. Maybe it was just a fun name to put on a headstone. I dig that. I think I need to get a Friday the 13th tattoo in the more traditional sense. Eventually, but I'm really not making plans anytime soon. I'm going to be really curious as to see if, come Monday, any tattoo shops will be reporting a lower or smaller than expected turnout for Friday the 13th amid coronavirus concerns. Do people's fears of getting sick outweigh their love of cheap tattoos? Only time will tell. Kind of a side note here real quick. I've seen so many different memes about the coronavirus, everything like that, and I mean, it's all, whatever. The one that I just can't fucking shake is this, it's a Simpsons predicted it one, and it's a badly photoshopped screenshot from Season 4, Episode 21, Marge in Chains. Basically, that's the one where everyone imports the juice loosener from overseas and the whole town, Springfield, gets infected with the Osaka flu. But someone doctored it up to say coronavirus and everyone's fucking losing their shit because Simpsons predicted it! And yeah, there's been some pretty vague predictions over the years that have turned out to be pretty cool, like autocorrect, smartwatches, those things mentioned on the show before they became part of our daily lives. But specific things like that, stretching a little bit. Yeah, the show did predict President Trump, totally, and everything. But they also predicted that he was going to bankrupt the country by investing in the nation's youth and not locking them in fucking cages. I'm just saying, when you share shit like that, not knowing if it's true or not, just take the 5 seconds, look into it, have it verified, make sure it's real. Unless it's trivia night, then you know what? Y'all motherfuckers just keep that energy up. Y'all gonna end up paying my tab. Anyway, she's probably the second most mentioned individual who's been on this show, and she's back to tell us about her Friday the 13th experiences. Here's Loran. Howdy, I'm Austin Larson, and this is the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast. I'm joined once again today by my guest, Loran.
Hey there.
Howdy. Well, thank you for returning on the show. How many times have I had you on before? I know
this will be the 3rd time, I think.
Okay, yeah, because I know that you were on the Vacation Tattoos episode. What was
the
it?
first tattoos.
Yeah, the first
Yep.
tattoos and then vacation tattoos too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Hey, there we go. All right. Well, thank you for coming back to the show. Are you enjoying it so far?
Of course, for sure. I might be slightly biased, but it's been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun having you on. Well, welcome back. And okay, since we are talking about Friday the 13th tattoos, what's your favorite sequel in that film series?
Oh god. The one where he goes to space, does that count? Or is that like the worst one?
Jason X?
Yeah.
I'll count it. Yeah, no. That's...
No, I haven't seen most of them in a while, so.
Okay, no, that's what? That was the 10th one?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like the 6th one, for me, that one was the funniest. I mean, it was just it was dumb, you know?
We're gonna have to watch these.
Yeah, I guess we will. I mean, we've already seen all the Nightmare on Elm Streets, which, in my opinion, better film series.
Oh, definitely.
With this Friday the 13th tattoo that we're going to be discussing today, was it something that you kind of planned on going on the Friday the 13th and getting the tattoo, or did you just kind of go, oh, fuck it, it's Friday the 13th, I want to go get a tattoo?
A little bit of both. There wasn't a whole lot of thought behind it other than, fuck it, let's go.
Okay, no, I totally feel that.
Yeah.
All right, and how about you just go ahead and tell us about getting that tattoo?
So a friend of mine, we went to school together, and we started like hanging out, and our first big like friendship thing was going to go get tattoos, and we both kind of talked about Friday the 13th tattoos, and it was in October like 3 years ago, I think. And we're like, fuck it, let's go. And we had to go, actually it was the place where me and you went and saw Teenage Bottle Rocket, that strip.
Oh, shit.
He has a tattoo parlor right around there.
Oh, no, I know which one I spot. Yeah, okay.
So I don't remember the name of it, but I know because there's like two of them right next to each other. But we went there because I think they were the only place around town that had a Friday the 13th special going.
Very cool. All
Yeah.
right, and you said that it was October of 3 years ago, so what, October 13th, 2017?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think that's...
No, that
Yeah.
sounds right, because I think that's when I got mine, too. So, no,
shit, that's
yeah,
funny.
Right? Seriously. Okay. So, did you guys have to wait in line?
Oh my god, we waited for forever. I think everybody in like an hour radius was there, I swear to God.
Right. Doesn't it always go that way?
I think we got there pretty early in the morning, like maybe 10 or 11. And I don't think I had to call out of work and told them, actually, I think I was going to be a little bit late. I think I ended up going, but I was late. And we didn't get out there till a little after 4, maybe 5.
Oh, wow. That's a long...
It took forever.
I bet. And I mean, you're out there with what, all the Cookie Monster pajama pants and whatnot?
It would definitely wasn't people I normally hang out with, and it was definitely the cheap tattoo people, for sure.
Hey, no, that's, I mean, it's Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
How big was the design?
It's about this, maybe a $50 size.
Okay, about a 50-cent piece.
Yeah.
And black and gray, is there any color?
There's
or...
a little bit of yellow in it.
A little bit of yellow, all right. And where is it again?
It's on my ankle.
Oh, okay. There you go. So from that day, it was 3 years ago. I completely understand if you don't remember all of it. But was there a pretty wide variety of flash there, or was it pretty limited?
No, it took me a while to figure out which one I actually wanted, because there was a lot of really cool things, and there was a lot of there's no way I'd ever get that tattooed on my body kind of sort of tattoos.
Oh, okay. That's a nice
Yeah.
variety right there. All right. Do you remember seeing any specific pop culture influenced designs?
Oh,
I
God.
mean, I know that we've said Friday the 13th, so hockey masks, anything to do with Jason, or even other horror films at that point.
The-
Big motifs, but I mean, sometimes, like, I've seen, I saw a King of the Hill Friday the 13th flash sheet. I've seen ones inspired by bands, like, I saw this really cool Descendants one a few years back, and just so, lots of motifs there. Do you remember anything in particular?
I've seen like really cool ones like you were talking about, but this one was definitely like the $20 tattoo. Like there's like Hello Kitty and like Mickey Mouse and like maybe the outline of Florida and some other little pot leaves and stuff like that. Like,
No, I totally feel that. So, was this a place that was advertising $13 tattoos?
yeah, it was 13 with a $7 tip, so I spent $20 altogether.
Okay, so just like you, over and done with, $20, that was
Yep,
it.
that was it.
All right. Hey, no, I totally feel that. All right. What's one piece of advice you would give to someone who's looking to get a Friday the 13th tattoo?
I think those tattoos are ones you definitely wouldn't take as seriously as others. I think more of definitely like a shits and giggles kind of tattoo. For
Yeah.
sure.
No, I would totally agree with that, you know? I mean,
I mean, the one I ended up with, I like it. It's not something stupid. Like it's a cloud with a lightning bolt, so it's kind of cute, but it's not something I regret for sure.
that's cool,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, definitely the people who are trying to get the serious and meaningful pieces aren't the people you see on Friday the 13th.
Yeah, that's definitely not the day you go.
Yeah, right? Oh, man, it would suck to, like, be totally unaware of that and just try to catch a walk-in that day. Can you imagine?
They would just laugh at you. I'm pretty positive.
Yeah, probably. All right. So, real quickly, since you've listened to every episode of the show so far, been on several, anyone you want to shout out? I mean, you know how it works.
Hi, Mom, but we both know she's definitely not listening.
You know, that's a shame. I really think your mom would enjoy this show. There's a lot of good stuff here.
Got high quality material for sure.
I mean, I'd like to think so.
I wish you would.
I do too. Vicky, if you're listening, thank you for listening. I appreciate that. It was wonderful meeting you and Pixie. All right. Well, once again, Loran, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you for everything.
No, thank you.
Thanks, Loran. That was awesome. Well, that was the Friday the 13th episode of the show. Hope you've enjoyed it. I really strived for this episode to be equally educational and entertaining, so I hope it was at least one of those. I hope some of the formatting changes are making the show more pleasant sounding. I hope the audio quality is still okay. So a few episodes back, I mentioned that I'd gradually be trying to shorten the episodes down to 30 to 45 minutes, so I'm hoping this feels like we're just at the right length. Not too short, but not so long that it's dragging. I'm still fully committed to producing new episodes every other week, but I'm gonna have a special treat for you guys next week, so be on the lookout for that. Not necessarily about tattoos per se, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss it. This is the 9th episode of the show. For this show, I've met so many awesome people, I've had so many great interviews, and I've gotten to talk to a lot of people from all around the world. This show is hosted through Buzzsprout, and they've provided some handy statistics about my audience, so here we go. The largest concentration of listeners I have in one city is about 15%, and that's right here in Spokane. But after Spokane, the top 4 runner-up cities are Dallas, Texas, Anchorage, Alaska, Pendleton, Oregon, and the big W, Walla Walla, Washington. My first tattoo was in Walla Walla, and I've been drunk in the Dallas-Fort Worth airport once. Dallas. I wonder if Oliver Peck listens to this show. I've always wanted to go to Alaska, but I've never been, so I guess Anchorage has to be the first stop. I'll always have a lot of love for Pendleton, but I just don't go there as often as I used to. Whenever I'm there, it ranges from no use to neck deep, but never a day to remember. Anyway, about 87% of my audience is American, but there's a solid 5% out in Australia, so thank you for that, Jackie. The show also gets played in Canada, Germany, and the UK as well, so thank you to everyone who listens. Whenever you're listening to this show, whether it be Pensacola, Penticton, or beyond, thank you sincerely so much for listening. Thanks for listening to the show, thank you for supporting me. I'm Austin Larson, and this has been the Ex-Girlfriend Tattoo Podcast.
Hey, thanks for sticking with me this far.
I'm sorry this episode was a little bit shorter than the other ones, but I had a couple interviews cancel on me. I promise that the next one will be longer. Thanks for all the love and support. Thanks for listening this long.
Here's to swimming with bow-legged women.